Welcome back to Psychology with Dipali, the best destination for great content in psychology.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to today's video on giftedness and intelligence. So, the topics that we will be covering today are what is giftedness, studies on giftedness, differences between talent and giftedness, key characteristics observed in gifted children, and identifying gifted individuals. So, first, let us know what we mean by prodigies. A child prodigy is technically a child under the age of 10 who produces meaningful work in some domain at the level of an adult expert. So, though the age of the child is very young, the accomplishments that the child shows in any particular field are comparable to those of adults. And this term is also applied in a very broad way to describe younger people who are extraordinarily talented in some field. It could be any field, it could be academic or even non academic. So, today's we are going to learn about three prodigies in varied fields. That means in different fields like medicine, music, and fashion. Can you guess who these prodigies might be? So, when we talk about giftedness or intellectual giftedness, there is no one agreed upon definition of giftedness as per psychology. A gifted person can be defined as one who is exhibiting some kind of superiority in general intelligence. So, the intelligence as assessed by an intelligence test, that means the intelligence quotient, is of a very high or very superior level. So, that is one way of looking at giftedness. And another way is that somebody who is in possession of special abilities, which are of a very high order in the fields which are not necessarily associated with very high intelligence. So it need not be only academic success that we are looking at, but it could be fields like music, it could be art, sport, or any other field where the person shows extraordinary talent and extraordinary abilities, which is comparable to those who might be even having academic success. So, when we talk of intellectually gifted individuals, there have been attempts made to identify these individuals by the usage of intelligence tests. So, when we find out the intelligence of a person, we will be able to get what is called an intelligence quotient, and those whose intelligence is far above the average. Now, when we say far above the average, when we are talking of different categories, it would be somewhere in the category of 129 or 130 and above, or maybe even 140 and above. And the entire group of intellectually gifted individuals is not extremely well defined as it is in other kinds of categories of intelligence. So there are some researchers who believe that anybody who has an IQ of 120 and above will be showing signs of exceptionality, that is, of giftedness, while others feel that no, 120 and above is not something which is exceptional. It should be an IQ of 130 or maybe even 140 or above, which should be taken as the criteria for categorizing someone as having giftedness as far as their intellectual category is concerned. So, therefore, the differences which we see amongst these individuals and other individuals belonging to other IQ categories is not a very trivial or small difference, because as we go high up in the IQ scale, the differences between the abilities of those who are in the highest category and those who are in the average or below average category becomes even more stronger. So, according to US statistics, it has been seen that around 1 in 6 persons has an IQ of 115 or greater. So, which is coming in the above average or in the bright normal category, and only 2% of the population have an IQ between 130 to 145. So, it's a very select group of people, and anybody having an IQ of more than that would be even a smaller percentage of the population. Now, there have been studies done on giftedness. There was one study done in 1925 by Terman, and he studied exceptionally bright individuals. And what he did is they did a follow up study, which is also called a longitudinal study. This kind of study is done when you take a group or a sample of individuals who are the subjects of your research, and you follow their behaviors, their academic success, or their any other intellectual characteristics or personality characteristics, and you measure these characteristics over a period of time. So, therefore, these individuals were around 1,500 children who had very high IQs of 130 or above, and these individuals were studied over a period of time, and they wanted to really see what is the relationship between the IQ as such, or the high intelligence that they have, and whether they are successful in life in their occupations, as well as how well are they adjusted in their social circumstances. So he found that there was a high level of success which these individuals attained in their lives. They had earned more degrees because academically they were much brighter. They had attained higher occupational status also. So wherever they worked, they attained a high level of proficiency there. And they had better salaries and they experienced better personal and social adjustment. They were even healthier as compared to the average adult. So this study, which was done by Terman, gave a very positive picture of individuals who are intellectually gifted. But there was another study done by Letta Hollingworth, which gave mixed results. What was done in this study is they found that children with IQ above 180, so now they are taking only a very small percentage of the population, because mostly people will not have IQs of 180 and above. Those are very rare. So they found that those who had IQs above 180 were not very well adjusted in their lives, and they were actually underachievers in the sense that they were not able to utilize their extraordinary intelligence to really do well in traditional occupations or in traditional academic endeavors. So many of them were not emotionally healthy, they were unhappy, some were even suicidal. And the reason why they felt this was happening is because these exceptionally bright children, they are very few, in the sense that they don't have anybody who is academically or intellectually equal to them in the general population. Because of that, they feel trapped in their own world with maybe few friends and few people who would understand what they really require in a particular situation. So they are out of sync, basically, in terms of intelligence with their peer group, because they are far ahead in intelligence as compared to their peer group, and therefore physically as well as socially, they are not in sync with even older people who might be intellectually equal. So therefore they feel left out, they feel very lonely. But as these individuals matured, as they grew older, it was found that the things started improving, and they were able to find certain settings, social settings, and find groups of people whom they could work with and prove their abilities and utilize the opportunities they got to really express their true talent. So therefore, later on in life, as they grew up, these gifted individuals appeared to be happier than other individuals who were not having this kind of exceptional intelligence. So now, when we are talking of IQs in the upper end of the normal probability curve or the normal distribution curve, that is above 145, they are very rare. So maybe 1 in 1,000 or maybe a little higher than that. And high IQ scores normally are predictive of very good academic performance right from the primary age group. Now, a child who is moderately bright, that means not exceptionally, but moderately bright, will become one of the stars of the class, because he or she will be able to do his academics well, maybe good in other activities also. But a person with very high IQs who is in the gifted category, 130, 140, 150, these kind of individuals may become a misfit. This is comparable to Letta Hollingworth study, which I just mentioned a short while ago. They may not be able to adjust with their peer group or their classmates. They may be misunderstood also by others, whether it is peer group or maybe even the teachers. So, therefore, giftedness and talent, these are two different things. Giftedness, we're talking of, is an exceptional general ability, which is an overall ability, which is shown in superior performance in a wide variety of areas. So, a person who is gifted intellectually will not just show academic performance, which is much better than others, might be very good in multiple other activities which require either academic potential or usage of creative inputs into various activities. Now, when we use the term talent, Talent is a narrower term which basically refers to remarkable activity or ability in a particular field. For example, it could be the aesthetic field, art, music, or any other field where the person is showing extremely high level of talent. So some people who are extremely talented or highly talented, specifically at a young age, are called prodigies. So, giftedness, if you measure from the teacher's perspective, would be a combination of three things. One is a combination of high ability, definitely high ability, high academic ability would be required. High creativity, ability to do things in a new way or to understand things in a new way, as well as a high level of commitment. So, just having good academic potential or having a high level of creativity is not enough. From a teacher's perspective, if a person also shows higher commitment to complete the tasks on hand, that is also an example of giftedness as far as in children are concerned. Now we are coming to the answers to the question that I asked initially, that do you know the prodigies in the field of medicine, music and fashion? So here this person is a prodigy in the field of medicine and he is an Indian. He is Balamurli Krishna Ambati, also known as Bala Ambati. He is an Indian American ophthalmologist. When he was very young, his parents migrated to the United States and he has done his most of his education there. He is an ophthalmologist, that is an eye specialist. He's an educator and he's also a researcher. He was doing calculus, which is a very tough part of mathematics, even at the age of 4. At the age of 11, he already had written a book along with another author, and the title was HIV AIDS, and the title was The True Story of AIDS, a Comprehensive Guide. He graduated from New York University at the age of 13. So, at the age of 13, when people are in school, he has already finished his basic graduation. Then he went on to do his medicine from the Mount Sinai School of Medicine with distinction at the age of 17, where he scored above 99% on his national medical boards. And he became the world's youngest doctor on May 19, 1995. And he has been honored by a mention in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's youngest doctor when he was only 17 years and 294 days old. So he has done something remarkable. He became the youngest doctor in the world at an age where children are just entering university and have just finished their high school. He has finished his medical education and he completed an ophthalmology residence at Harvard University, where he developed strategies to reverse corneal angiogenesis after becoming a winner of multiple prizes like the Westinghouse Science Talent Search and the International Science and Engineering Fair. And he also became a National Merit Scholar. He volunteers with the Orbis Flying Eye Hospital, where he travels to various underprivileged countries where they don't have many facilities for eye surgeries. And there he goes to practice as well as teach ophthalmic surgery to other professionals. In 2008, he also earned a PhD. So, as it is, he is a doctor, but he's also earned a PhD in cell biology from the Medical College of Georgia. So, very highly talented and an exceptional individual who is a prodigy, showing the talent at a very young age in the field of medicine. Coming to the next prodigy, he is in the field of music and he is Mozart. So, Mozart, or Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, was only 5 years old when he was already competent in playing the keyboard as well as the violin. So, you can imagine an age in where the fine motor skills of children are yet developing. He has already mastered the art of playing the violin as well as the keyboard. And he had also begun to compose music and he performed before the European royalty. This is all at the age of 5. He wrote a symphony by the time he was 8, and his first opera he wrote when he was just 11 years old. Many more symphonies and operas and other pieces of music followed. And his rapid pace of composition, he was a very fluent composer, so there were lots of pieces of work that he wrote. And this proficiency, which he showed from a very early age, resulted in around 800 works in the field of music, which represented all the genres of classical music. but he did not survive for very long. He died when he was very young, at the young age of 35, leaving a very long and rich history changing legacy of music behind him. And today, all his pieces are played by classical musicians, even today around the world. Now we are coming to the prodigy in the world of fashion. Now, this person is Max Alexander. He's a talented fashion designer from Denver, Colorado, USA. He began designing, sewing, and selling garments internationally since the age of 4. Because when he was 4, he just announced to his family that he was a dressmaker, he was a designer, and not only that, he also announced that he was Gucci. We know that was a very famous designer. In his past life, he was Gucci. That is what he said. And then he was encouraged by his mother, who was also an artist, but not in the same way. And he then began designing, sewing, and draping, and he launched his brand Couture to the Max label in 2021. Now, his first designs that he did prior to learning to sew were comprised of ribbons or plastic wrap and scraps of material which he fastened together with knots and tape. But at the age of 5 he started learning how to sew, and then he began his formal sewing classes. After learning to sew, his work quickly progressed into the more refined styles we see today. On 18th of November 2023, when he was just 7 years old, Max became the youngest person to design a runway show after he was offered a runway at Denver Fashion Week. So you can imagine a 7 year old fashion designer. And now he's 9 years old. He is redefining the fashion world, one stunning design at a time. Since 2021, he has created commissioned works for a global clientele, which includes dresses for clients in France, Mexico, Brazil, Germany, Canada, and of course throughout the United States. He has designed commissions from celebrities such as Sharon Stone and even other celebrities. And now he's saving his money for whatever he's earning for his first apartment, which he wants to take up in New York. And he attends basically first grade in school whenever he has the time. So you can imagine the level of ability that this young child has, and he has many more accolades coming his way. So let us see what are the key characteristics observed in gifted children. They show early signs of intellectual superiority, and even when they are in the stage of infancy or early childhood, they show certain features. For example, the attention span is larger. Normally, a very young child would have a short attention span, but they show a large attention span. They can focus longer. They have a very good recognition memory. They prefer certain new things. So there's a preference for novelty. They are sensitive to environmental changes. So they are very perceptive of the environment around them. And there is early appearance of language skills, which means they begin to speak and talk earlier than other children. Then if you try to equate giftedness with only academic brilliance or superior academic performance, then that would not be an accurate definition of giftedness. Because there will be people, let's say athletes, who are in the sports field, they also show superior performance, and the way they exhibit their psychomotor ability shows that they are gifted. So it's not just academic brilliance that is defining somebody as gifted, and each gifted student will possess their own combination of talents, abilities, strengths, and characteristics. So, some important characteristics of gifted children are very advanced level of original and creative thinking. So, creativity is something which comes easy to them, and they are able to think of new ways of doing things. Superior generalization and discrimination ability. They're able to take in information and generalize facts as well as discriminate among facts to a higher level as compared to others. Very high speed in processing information. So the for them to understand something or to comprehend something doesn't take much of time. Logical thinking is something which they really are superior in. Their ability to question, their ability to solve problems is definitely much superior as compared to others. and they are very intrinsically motivated, which means nobody has to push them. For example, Max Alexander, the fashion designer, his parents did not push him into this profession. He of his own interest started doing this, so therefore there's a very high level of intrinsic motivation. They are internally motivated, and they have a very high sense of self esteem. They do see themselves as positive, and they evaluate themselves as having positive abilities. Now, how do we know who is gifted? So, there are various ways in which we can get information about giftedness, the absence or the presence of giftedness in certain individuals. First, of course, it is intelligence tests that will give you one indicator of whether the person has a superior category of intelligence or not. Then there are other sources of information, let's say the judgment of the teachers, because teachers are able to understand the ability levels of their students in a particular class, the achievement record which they show in school, that is their academic performance, then interviews from parents, because parents would be able to tell how these children, right from a very young age, showed something which was different from others, the ratings by their friends, as well as ratings by themselves. And all of these can be used in combination with intellectual assessment, which is detailed intellectual assessment, to arrive at a conclusion of whether a child is gifted or not. So, to reach their full potential, these gifted children also require special type of care and attention, and they need a different kind of educational approach, because if they are studying in regular normal classrooms with regular normal syllabi, it is very difficult for them to really adjust because they are way ahead of their peers. So they require certain life enrichment programs, which will basically challenge them and can sharpen their skills in productive thinking, or their skills in planning or decision making or even communication. So let us recap what we have done today. We have talked about what is giftedness. We have done studies on giftedness, differences between talents and prodigies and giftedness, and then key characteristics observed in gifted children and identification of gifted children. So please share, like, and subscribe to Psychology with Dipali. Also follow me on Instagram, and do let me know which other topics in psychology you would like me to create a video on. So till I bring my next video to you, it's bye from me now.